What's up, everybody? This is Ominous for an episode of Ominous Designs on Responsible Gaming. This is episode 180. Welcome to an episode of We're Not Bothering with Titles. This is called Enraged because we're gonna do a mechanic from XLN that's called Enrage. Yes, not Enraged. So see a little bit of creativity there, a little bit. First, let's look at the cards from last week. We got Consult the Oracle that we created as a 1 blue draw card, scry 1, fate seal 1. You get to admit it is gorgeous. And I got a bit of feedback that potentially this is a little strong. I am still not fully sure how much better scry 1, fate seal 1 would be as opposed to scry 2, which would make it a serum vision. Call back to last week when we designed this card. Serum vision is still great on the other hand, so we don't have to be as good as it, and I suppose potentially better. I still think that scry 2 is on cantrips is supposed to help you dig through your deck, not have an occasional fate seal effect. People disagree apparently, or some of them at least. Next, Moonlight Studies. Also think it's quite beautiful. People haven't been complaining that much about this one. I think Consult the Oracle kind of stole all the limelight though, so didn't get that much feedback on it. But that's it. That's your two beautiful cards from last week, alongside their names and designs. We are moving on to what's up for today. I want to make a green creature. So we're gonna take this one as a base, and well, actually, yeah, I want to make a green creature. So this is going to be called the green creature. No, there's an A. Yes. So I have created the keyword Enrage, as you can see, very practical. You can go back to my episode, I don't know what number, I'll tell you later, where I go over all tips and tricks. Keyword is one of them. You need to be able to create keyword. Spoiler alert, for the most part you can just copy a similar keyword. That's really the thing that works the best. But over here it's a, I forgot how this is called, but it's kind of a pseudo keyword. Enrage has the same trigger but has a different effect for every card. So Enrage, if you're not familiar with it, says whenever the card name is dealt damage, do something. Pretty easy. So I figured this would be a good mechanic to work with, and I started thinking about it a little bit before the episode, and I came up with I realized that it is actually not that easy to work with, and for the main reason that, especially in green, the creature needs to be dealt damage, which means that you are not likely to be able to use this in combat unless you do something very tricky and weird. For example, I thought what I could do simply is to say Enrage, whenever green creature is dealt damage, it gains +2/+2. That is real tricky. The creatures are dealing damage to each other at the same time, so you could do some rules lawyering and find ways to have this damage not apply at the exact same time. I'm not even sure that's true. At the very least, you could play with first strike. You could find a way to give your opponent first strike, get some damage done to you first, get bigger, do your own damage. That sounds like a very bad idea. It sounds very, very complicated and needless. So, unfortunately, combat mechanic, beefy themed mechanics for green are out of reach. And this is why, if you look at the list of enriched cards over here, almost over here, for green you get fetch a land, gain some life, draw a card, and get a +1/+1 counter. So +1/+1 counter has less of the problem that I was just mentioning, because it doesn't really matter that it's too late to get your +1 counter, potentially, but I'm surprised. It's kind of weird because people are going to get confused. Do I get it for combat? Do I get it after combat? You're going to get it, you're going to get it after combat, basically, but let's see if there is kind of an explanation. If multiple souls deal damage to a creature with an enraged, well, now we know. If lethal damage is dealt to a creature with an enraged ability, the ability triggers. The creature with that ability leaves the battlefield before the ability resolves, so you won't be affected by resolving the ability. That's what it means. If you do 4 damage to the snapping sailback, it's gonna trigger, your counter is gonna go nowhere. So just know that. So I don't actually love this design because it just creates confusion. So over here. So we're not gonna do that. And now I'm gonna add another challenge. Maybe not for this creature. So I have an idea for an added twist on the design, but I think it might be once, as it happens before, I might create a red-green hybrid for the idea that I have in mind. Mostly because, so Enraged is mostly red-green. It's also tertiary white. I think there's like 1 creature in white or 2 that have Enraged. So red-green makes sense. I'm not going to talk about what's next just yet. So let's see. What I think I want then, is whenever a green creature is dealt damage, it deals 2, maybe 2 damage to all creatures. Oh my god, why do I always keep the A? I kind of wonder if that's my key now. Okay, so it's gonna deal 2 damage to each creature with flying. So do we need, I think it's fun, I think it's actually real fun. We need reach. Do we need to do damage on top of that? No, probably not. So it's pretty massive anti-flyer kind of deterrent creature. I think potentially you could stay that way. 2 damage to all creatures with flying is obviously very powerful. That being said, if you want, like, it kind of equals, well, no, actually, it's worse than Death Touch, right? Because it doesn't say that you can only block flyers. So if you block a 1/1, you're just gonna deal 2 damage to all flyers at the same time, which is a little ridiculous. So something I want to see, to give myself a point of reference, is I want to see deal damage on a spider, because I know that there are spiders that do damage to all the flyers, and what I want to know is great, just touch. No, deal X damage to each creature with flying. So this guy does not discriminate, and this one doesn't discriminate either. So we're gonna be hurting our own flyers, if that's a thing. That doesn't matter all that much. So that would be a thing. Now, I think it's fine. it is a pretty terrible blocker anyways to begin with, right? You don't want you don't really want a O2 reach if you didn't have this ability. On the other hand, if your opponent actually happens to have creatures, now not only they cannot attack with the flying creatures, but they cannot really attack with their ground creatures without enduring the risk of losing the flying creatures. So it is pretty strong. It is virtually some sort of Death Toucher that's gonna hit all your flyers. Obviously 2 damage is not gonna kill every single flyer, and I think that's why we absolutely don't want this to be extended to 3 damage, because at least we give the opponent the out of having like something like a 2/3 or a 3/3 flyer. And for that, I think I might allow it to be a 1/2, which means a 2/3 cannot attack into it, but it also won't die from it, and that gives us the ability to just let it be a slightly more useful on its own. If it's just facing a 2/2 or a 3/3, it's also going to take care of it. Is that too good? It's possible. It's possible that it's too good. It dies easily though, that's the thing. On the other hand, you need to remove it without red damage, otherwise it's still going to kill your creatures. That being said, usually when you're red, you don't care very much about having flyers survive anything, unless you're blue-red. I don't know, I think it's developmentally hard to balance. That's a sentence, that's a phrase. But I do like the way it's playing with Enraged. So let's give it another couple thoughts, and then let's leave it there for people to comment and give feedback. How would we make it different? I don't think dealing 1 damage to all flyers is going to do anything, unless you're facing 1/1 flyers. That doesn't seem to really make sense. So 2 damage is what is likely to do something. Unfortunately, it kind of flips from useless to potentially too strong, this ability. In Enraged, you cannot really... Well, that's not true. I was gonna say Enraged you cannot trigger several times reliably, and that is not correct, and maybe that's the trick, because you can actually trigger it. Let's say it was a 1/3, for example. Well, now you can block, you can deal 1 damage because you blocked, which makes it so that you're going to kill a 2/2 flyer, which is already great, and also it's going to make it so that if you have, let's say, a double shot, you can double shot your dude on top of that, and now all of a sudden you deal 2 damage. You kind of deserved it because you did a trick, and all of a sudden you get rid of 2 flyers potentially, and you can double shot it twice without. That means you don't even have to block anything, which is kind of nasty. So that's a possibility. Other than that, it could also be a... Could it be a 2/2? And he would, that way he would block 2 3s. And if you trigger twice, he could destroy your 4/4. Could block a 4/4. Like if you dual shot this guy as it's blocking a 4/4, you would kill the 4/4. That's pretty gnarly. So maybe not. Whoops. And this makes it so that it blocks and kills 2/2 flyers, which is also kind of crazy. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? I mean, we have the whatever it's called spider that turns into a 4/3 for 3 against flyers, so that's not unheard of. So potentially it would cost 3. And it would probably be a spider if I found a nice spider. Okay, I'm kind of digging it. I'm kind of digging it. Are you digging it? I'm digging it. I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm happy with it. Next, we're moving on. Next, I am now gonna spoil the mechanic because otherwise I'm gonna spend half an hour trying to figure it out without you knowing what I'm talking about. We're gonna make a creature with trample, I think. Well, I don't know actually. And we don't know what it's gonna do, but it's gonna have an ability that I don't know how much it's gonna cost, and it says, oh yeah, my A is not working very well. That's not good. Creatures. Do you know what I'm doing right now? If you don't, that's too bad for you, because I'm looking up how to write it. Oh, is that what we... No, really? What's the new wording on this ability? I'm sorry. Just in case you haven't figured out what I'm saying, you'll still have the surprise of it. Okay. Alright, I guess that's... And ta-da! All creatures able to block. Card name, do so. This turn? There is an ability that you can activate that does this. Just don't remember what creature it is on, so I'm gonna look for it. So green and able to block. That should be enough. Okay. I want a creature with an ability. I think that exists, or maybe this one. Scavenge. No. All creature able to block target creature this turn, do so. Okay, so able to block this turn. Makes sense. Okay. So indestructible, huh? It doesn't make sense. Well, does it make sense? I'm talking about, so this card combines with forcing to block and gives indestructible. That being said, it's going to be very interesting actually, because everything that doesn't only force creatures to block but also as a combined effect, like distant to lead, we are going to be able to inspire to use as inspiration. So this is nothing, it's just a 3/5. When it deals combat damage, tap that creature and it doesn't untap. Hilarious. So that's basically Enraged, by the way. When you are, no, it's when you deal damage to a creature, whatever. Enters the battlefield, clash, no. Attacks, put copies, no. Okay, there's not that much interesting over here, actually. Indestructible with this thing. We have nothing here. Exile a creature that's been blocked, it's too complicated. Infect, it's not what we're about right now. Until end of turn, not really. Landfall, detach. Yeah, but that doesn't, that's just the payoff for getting blocked. That's not something that happens. That's not something that needs you to be blocked. So I mean, you know what I mean. Like if I put Death Touch on there and I put all creature need to block it, that's it. Like Enrage has nothing to do here. I mean, interesting. So what I could do, but I think we're hitting this wall of complexity I was talking about. If you put Death Touch here, actually it doesn't work. I was gonna say the first creature is gonna deal damage to it, and then it's gonna gain. No, Enrage. If Enrage gave Death Touch, then you would have Death Touch for the other creatures, except no, because they all deal damage to that creature at the same time. So it is actually not easy, is it? What could we do? Oh yeah, so what about indestructible? So no, it's not really useful either, right? When you are dealt damage, you become indestructible. You've been dealt damage already. It's tricky, isn't it? It is quite hard. So supposedly, I mean, it doesn't have to synergize, and yet it would be better if it did, right? Because we don't just want to trigger Enrage a lot of times. That doesn't sound like the smartest thing we can do. I mean, I could have it have a Death Touch, in which case if let's say I let it be a 2/2, now at best I could be destroying 2 creatures. This would probably cost a bunch more, but I have no idea. Like this, I don't know. I mean, it only kills 2 creatures. Still pretty damn powerful though. But now the Enrage becomes kind of an afterthought, which obviously I don't like. Oh, that is actually kind of interesting. What if? What if? How does that work? So yeah, so what I want to do is create a black rat token with Death Touch. I just never remember what's the wording on this. It's probably going to be, well, no, it could be an uncommon, I guess. Create a 1/1 black rat creature. Okay. Oh yeah, and it could actually be a 1/1. So what this does is it's a virtual removal because basically, well, not only it's a virtual removal, but you also clean. It's a filter effect. Everybody needs to block that guy. You're gonna get to decide which one you destroy, and on top of that, if you managed to trigger Enrage by getting blocked by 3 creatures, for example, you're gonna get 3 1/1 Death Touch. Now, the thing that is kind of gnarly is that this creature also happens to have Death Touch, which means if you just use it at face value, it's going to be a 1/1 Death Touch that gets replaced by another 1/1 Death Touch, and that is actually extremely potent to begin with, and that potentially is a problem. Actually, why don't we just create 1/1s? That would be a 1/1 Death Touch. It could be a removal plus falter effect, and you would leave behind a bunch of 1/1s. That's already extremely powerful, isn't it? Yeah, and that would allow me to not need to create rats, because somehow creating tokens that have Death Touch is quite a bit of a black thing, I feel. So I could be doing this, and I would not give them token Death Touch. And now we find ourselves with still a very strong card, but not obviously outside of the bounds of uncommon. It's still powerful as all heck, isn't it? So what if we make this pricey? So we leave this at 6, and we found ourselves with a 1/1 Death Touch for 1 and a green that leaves a 1/1 non-Death Toucher behind. Very powerful, very powerful. On top of that, later in the game, you force everybody to block you, you get as many 1/1 green, and you pick off whichever you'd like to destroy. Still pretty powerful, isn't it? Still pretty powerful. Unfortunately, I don't know what to do to make it less powerful. Like I could see this. That would be tolerable. You would find yourself with a 1/1 Death Toucher that costs 3 but leaves a 1/1 behind. It's acceptable. It's okay, I think. It's probably safer than making it cost 2 only. That I kind of understand. Or this time I probably wouldn't complain too much about resorting to the trick of green, because I don't know, it feels like a powerful uncommon that could be costing double color, and it also prevents you from quote unquote abusing it by just kind of adding some greenitude to your requirements, some greenness, if you will. 1/1 Death Touch. I mean, 1/1 Death Touch for 2 mana need to have an upside. Leaving a 1/1 behind is on the low power level of the upside? Question mark? Can you hear it in my voice? But it also has the kind of big game, a reasonably big game of creating a falter effect and let you decide who you kill when you have 6 mana. Do we like it? Do we like it? And in late game, it still costs you 8 over 2 turns to make that happen. So I kind of don't feel like you need to start it at 3. We're kind of nitpicking at this stage. I don't know. I actually think it could be a fine Death Toucher if it costs 3. It's very slow though. It's not particularly what green would like to do, but having the upside of being basically a green removal in the late game over 2 turns and potentially creating you a bunch of 1/1s and creating a falter effect. Oof, I just realized something. If you use a pump spell on this creature, oh my god. That being said, it's 6 mana plus a pump spell, so could be worse. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at 3 then, because it's kind of abusable. It's it's semi-abusable. It's not too obviously abusable. And I think you can defend wanting to play a 3-mana Death Toucher if it also leaves you at the bare minimum a 1/1 behind. So it's gonna get to block twice. It's gonna trade with a card when it blocks the first time around, and then potentially it's got big game ability in the late game. So that makes it for pretty well-rounded green creature, even if it's just a fucking 1/1 for 3. Excuse my language. All right, yeah, ship it. I'm satisfied. We're shipping green creature this way. I feel like we're gonna have a good amount of fun figuring out the flavor of those cards this week. This is gonna be a nice little spider, and this is gonna be, I don't know, something angry. Maybe some sort of insect. I don't really know, but that should be good. Tune in next week for full flavor on those cards, full name and design and illustration, and to tell me what you think. I will post sometime soon, as soon as I figure out the card entirely, on the usual outlets. You'll see the video very soon on YouTube, and I will post the cards on Facebook. Twitter now kind of only has the automated posts for kind of when the videos goes live, but you should come down to, where's my mouse? Can I show this? Oh no, I can't. Right there in the bottom. Oh yeah, I mean, that's hard to do. My camera is switched. So come on Reddit. So Custom Magic, I'll be posting this under the nickname that you see below, and tagged with ominous designs. You can see all the designs over there. That is all for now. So thanks for watching. I see you when I see you. As per usual, we're not doing just a full weekly anymore, but I'm getting back into it. So tell me what you think. Come around next time, and until then, play responsibly.